Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday morning. Kind of neutral open here, a little weak. Starting here with spiders. They've already tested the gap fill. You can see they've already been down here to 435 and a half. They've already come, you can see right there around that area there. And they've bounced up into what would be, well, what would be filling the gap if the market, if it wasn't pre-market, because they're back up here. As you can see, that was Friday's close, and they're at 437.10 and 37.10. Well, yeah, just about, just below there. So we'll see where they are in a half hour. Anyway, bottom line, it's just more running in place for now. Downtrend, the retracement, what's happened on a gap. Do we look at that the same as if it was a bar going up there? In a sense, if it was a big green bar, yeah, it's like it creates a void. This was a gap, so there's definitely a void. And just looking at this, forgetting the pre-market data now, where this is at, assuming it's going to open around here at this pivot. The idea here is when you have a void, it has to create support or go down and fill the void and come down to support. So what happened last week was it tried to create the support. It chopped sideways. It couldn't go up. It went down, lower, lower, lower. We got another pivot here based on Friday's action. And so now if it opens here, does that swing hold on the 15-minute chart and then flip back up again, which on a very short-term basis says, hey, think long. It doesn't have that far to go. This is going to become a huge reference point as to whether this can actually get through here or not. We'll see. If it just hangs around here, well, maybe during the trading day, it hangs here, and then this pre-market support that was created is in the same place as the gap fill, and so it would go down here and fill the gap, and then you've got this support. And one of the things I explained last week, I'm not sure if it was here pre-market or in where YouTube heard or in the green room, is that you would think all of this overlapping bars is significant. And as we look at it in this time frame, it appears to be, but the way it created the structure of the intraday pattern, it's like a bunch of holes. Like if it had trended down, meaning it went down, it came up a little, went down, sideways down, and there was all that data there, it would be more meaningful. It's kind of looking at a wall with holes in it, where you put some bricks and, you'd left a whole bunch out and it would be easy to punch through. It's kind of a way of interpreting this type of price action. When I see all these overlapping bars, there's holes throughout the whole thing. So in reality, if this starts to go down, it could go all the way down here if it can't hold the gap fill and this pivot. So just setting up a thought process as to if it does go down. I recognize these reference points, but I know if it had formed in a different way intraday, it could be a lot stronger than what this appears to be because of the way it went up and down. All right, excuse the noise here. There's some construction going on. So SPX. If today is a green day, right, this is a big open interest point right here, which lines up with this pivot. If it can hold here, there's going to be a battle because there's a lot of open interest in puts and calls at that number, the biggest of the other strikes. And you can see the way this is formed here. If this was to go up here and go sideways for a while, it could have an explosive move right up to 4,500. I don't know if that's going to happen, but we're setting up a bias for if this, then possibly that. So when it gets here, it could get rejected and get slammed right back down. With looking at these strikes and large open interest, what I've observed happening is if something big is going to move, like a big move, they go sideways and the battle continues to where it gets tight. And then that's when the pop comes. So you got to watch it, if it gets there and the price action at the time. It could get slammed back down, but if it goes sideways for an hour or two and it starts to break out, it's going to drive back up to this next level. If we're below here after 10 o'clock, it opens here and it's just meandering around and it can't get going. It opens up the door to lower. And okay, how much lower? So when we talk about SPX and credit spreads, first of all, the premiums up above here, there's not enough on the call side to get involved. It's too dangerous. If this does show some strength, you're going to get run over because there's no big premiums up here. On the other hand, the premiums are relatively significant on the downside, which to me, I believe communicates that option market makers believe that there's the potential for downside. So they're jacking the premiums if you want to get involved, which kind of gives them some protection. So if you can read the chart and say, well, how far away can I get and be safe? Well, there's some decent premium. Last I looked, 75 by 85 at 43.20. That's pretty far away. Now, again, considering that there's holes here, it could certainly go down there. But if it was to go down there in one day, talking about today, if it was to go down there in one day, and how fast it would go down there would have a big influence, of course. It would certainly bounce from there. So with that being said, you can go all the way down to 43.05 and at 40 cents by 50 cents. Okay. So somewhere between 43.20 and 43.05 for today. I always look at these as being no-brainers, which means it ain't going there. And if it does get close, it's going to bounce from there. And the time decay being on your side, the theoretical is you'll be okay. And we'll see what happens. All right, so let's look at other markets, look at the futures. And so flip back and forth. There was the gap up last Thursday, and then on Friday on the jobs report, things kind of just petered out. Really didn't go anywhere on the week jobs report. So you can see that's somewhat bullish. And, little retest and buyers stepped up again, but in reality, running in place, not going anywhere. The big void is still to the downside. Should this be able to roll back over? Qs are the weaker. A little breakdown failure type of action there, but let's see the way it went up. It's just grinding its way down to move lower. So downtrend. The depth of retracement here has put this in a sideways trend. It's below 15,000. Tech continues to be the leader as far as the weaker and going lower. And it's got room on the weekly chart. Of course, it's got to get through down here, and it looks like it's kind of grinding its way. So unless it can get above this swing high on the hourly, which would then open up the door to, moving back up. If it can see pivot, create support, it's an area. It doesn't have to stop right there. So now if it can get through that swing high on this time frame, it's getting above major support. And our bias intraday would be it could go higher. Right now, this 5-minute chart, you can see it's at resistance, downtrend, downtrend, downtrend. I think this is your hourly trend. This is your 15-minute trend. And this is the 5-minute, which is kind of flipped up for the moment. So kind of caught between different time frames. Russell, just a total mess. You can trade it intraday, but the weekly is sideways all year. This is sideways. It's getting tighter. Not much to do there. Now, YM led the way down, wild and whippy, ripped back up. And depending on what it does today, I mean, if it was to close strong, look at that as the potential, if it could clear this high here, that it could go up. So, and you could see the relative strength that it's showing here, where it broke lower, right? With this pattern, it broke lower and stopped right at that support. I'll say it again. We'll look to the left, right? Those that have got their VWAPs, their fib lines, their GAN lines, the Ichikumi clouds. I mean, what's more simpler than just shifting your eyes over there and see if there's something over there than putting all that hocus pocus on your chart? It works. So plenty of resistance right there. I suggest it's not going too far. Bitcoin. That's a nice reaction to that resistance and that topping tail that formed on Friday. But it's right into this congestion. That's why it's all red up there. Oil through 80 bucks. Talked about this in the weekend video, that while this is getting a little short-term extended, this continues to be bullish price action. And you could see the bottoming action here that went on for months and it moved higher. Unless this was to break down all the way back down to this is going higher. So, yeah, the weekly is a little extended there, of course. Again, it came out of this base, and well, unless it violates support, you have to assume it's going to continue to go up. Gold still doing nothing. I mean, Friday, it looked like it was ready to, well, it was making a move, and then it just failed. The jobs report, it came all the way back in, so still nothing there. Silver's on support. I like the pattern, but it backed off. Now, if this turns out to be nothing, meaning this topping tail doesn't produce any downside, and we get a decent day, I mean, some might be long already based on the breakdown failure, but this is encouraging that, well, it's still early Monday. If this doesn't follow through sometime today where it starts going lower, that's going to be a positive. When you get a topping tail that doesn't move to the downside, in this case, it hasn't even broken that bar's low yet, that's bullish. And let's go with bonds. Continue to move lower. Right, they're down here on this major support. So this is reaching a really important point here for interest rates, and which should be good for financials. They didn't have that positive a reaction earlier last week when interest rates went up. But there's a lot of bank stocks and financials that look good. They're closed today. What's this? 10, 11. Well, that don't mean the banks are closed, but the futures must be trading. Right? That bar is moving. I should know that, right, McGraw? Capra, Italian, Columbus. I didn't even know. All right. All right. So 10-year doing nothing here. Transports, encouraging for the bullish case, but still, it's pretty messy, but coming down here and just tickling under the low and springing back up again. Let's assume the market does go lower. Maybe it holds those prior lows or just goes under it a little bit, and the transports go sideways. That is going to be positive for an end of year rally. So back to these futures here. One of the things that we looked at or explained in the weekend video was looking at momentum, and this was strong momentum, and this slowed down. However, the NASDAQ you can see momentum has not slowed down. So what we would look for is, assuming this goes lower, for this to come down under the low, but not get that far away from this low. So that would be something that we would recognize as not only slowing momentum, but potentially the end of this downward move, should it occur. So something else to keep an eye on. Right now, the markets are really not doing much of anything here. Trying to digest information, flip-flopping back and forth. As you can see, caught between two places. And we'll see how today unfolds. Just looking at the cues, void above, not too much below. And diamonds, having had that strong move up, it's showing relative strength, but overall, it just continues to be very messy chart. And we need to see something get resolved, and not there yet. So, all yours, Dan.
Good morning. So Greg, you said you should know about Columbus Day. There's a big article in the paper that they're saying it's racist.
Well,
so,
everything's racist.
They want to get rid of that holiday now. So you better, maybe it's the last one. You better go. Hey, I grew up in Miami, and Elliott Key is a big, long 11-mile key southeast of Miami, and they have the annual Columbus Day Regatta, which is a really fun event. I'm sure it went over the weekend, and I think it ends today, but just Google it. I remember showing you all last year a picture of the aerial of all the thousands of boats there, but it's always a fun event. All right, opens here. A couple things, gapping against us, but no alarms going off. I sent out an adjustment on this ENB. We're long stock, beautiful inverse head and shoulder breakout here with a correction bar. So that was a no-brainer setup right there. So we entered that on Thursday. Nice day, nice volume. That looks good. Greg mentioned Bitcoin, and I'm still watching this Mara. Mara, 100% retracement, bullish price action, price void, that looks good. And then HUT. Remember we did a bull call debit spread on HUT? We took our money on this gap. But if it can go sideways here a couple days, I still like HUT. Some windows. New trades here are F, I like, a bank, KMI. These are both gapping up. Let me tell our advisory folks. Five-minute highs a go. Goldman Sachs reduced the GDP growth estimate a little bit, but when I woke up this morning, the Dow was down like $1.25, and it's negated it, turned positive, so that's bullish. Thomas asking about Oracle. Yeah, Steve, I know. You know what, Steve, and I actually, I was the board president here in my condo, and there's a black woman on the board, and she was ranting and raving about something, and I said, "You are out of control." Guess what? She threw the race card at me. I said, "I resign." I said, "I can't. I just resigned. I want no part of that." Oracle, your beautiful entry was on Thursday. Kind of similar to what ENB. ENB looks similar a little bit. It's kind of, reverse. It's different, but that was your entry. You had an inside bar, gap breakout, red bar ignored. So that was nice. And then, yeah, Thomas KMI. Yeah, KMI I like. That was in our weekend letter. You know, you see how I have these, you know, daily, bottom left, weekly, and I just look at a couple of bars. That's all I need for swing trading. You know why? Because this upper middle one is the monthly. And so a couple months of bars tells me a story on that. And so it's a buy setup on the monthly chart. It's a continuation breakout daily, weekly. So it looks good. Matul, the problem? No, 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 no. No. Is that enough no's? Unless you're just day trading on a 5 or 15-minute chart. We do not buy things up 25 bars far from the 20 unless you have a correction pattern. So compare that to KMI. This went sideways for 2 weeks with a little downside shakeout with all these converging MAs. This is what we want, not something that's gone vertical far from support. Here's another little oil. Greg and I we're doing some scanning together yesterday. So this one, you know, it's weaker, of course, right? Because you overlay it to XOP and this thing's been a dog. But it could be the time where the dogs are playing catch up because it's close to support with a price avoid. So this is on my radar. DRQ. Let me continue over here. Sophie, it's a big mess, but gap into the high of Thursday's high. We'll come back to it. BTBT. Now here's this bottoming pattern. Now this also looks, I think this is a Reddit toy, but I like the downside shakeout. It's also going side. Is this Bitcoin related? So that I'm going to put in a window. Maybe 30-minute high. That looks good. So yeah, Goldman I mentioned. I just saw this thing going by the ticker. A big, big retest pattern here from an IPO. I'm gapping up to $4, so there's no pattern, but on a pullback, that's an idea. MMAT, another little kind of, it's a deep retracement, but it reversed on support, popping here a little bit pre-market. That's worth watching. CMCSA got a downgrade, gapping down. So this is a short watch for today. I'm going to put that in a window. These Chinese stocks, remember, got a nice gap bid on Thursday. I guess China was trying to play nice, gapping up again, but now you're chasing. Yeah, Baba, K-Web. That was a nice gapper on Thursday. I think I did look for a 44 put spread and there's no juice, but that could have been a directional. AZZ, why am I looking at you? You must be earnings, but no pattern. ENZ, yeah, had earnings. It broke out. Look, daily, weekly, monthly. Wow, look at that monthly bottoming pattern. So that we have to watch as a core long. Target $6, $7. We just need a pullback and last, because your stop has to be last week's low. There's no way around it. But that I like. Fast. Had earnings, no pattern. We'll come back to you. Love. They have 1,800 flights they canceled. And Jim, I'll ask everybody a rhetorical question. They apparently said, oh, it's because of bad weather and, air traffic control problems. That's what they publicly said. But no other airlines canceling. So what did they say? I call bullshit on that, right? Come on, man. Why? I mean, you're just lying through your teeth, blaming it on weather and air traffic control. So, they probably just don't want to refund tickets or pay for hotels and, whatever. I don't know. It's just, I don't know. Don't get me started. JR Selfie and HZNP. Selfie. Oh, we looked at, yeah, I said maybe 30-minute high. That's capping on the high of the red bar. Well, I actually have a pilot buddy at Southwest, so I actually texted him this morning, said, hey, is this thing real that they're walking out because they're objecting to the corona vaccine mandate? And he actually said, no, not as much as you think. He said, he did say there was a lot of people calling out because of pilot fatigue. And then he said bad management too. So, well, you never know what the truth is. All right, so love, $52. There's no pattern. Oh, back to HCMP. It's a bio, but it's bullish. That's bullish. 3 inside bars after breaking out daily, weekly. It's a bio, but I like the pattern. Here, let me make sure it's a bio. HCMP. Yeah, therapeutics. But I like the pattern. All right, DRQ alarm. So that is a go. Well, actually, DRQ on pullback is fine. PA and PAA was it not? Oh, look at PAA. PAA is another one we found, scanning the beat up